Arguing, begging, it's what my character would do. Playing from player knowledge and not character knowledge consistently. Welcome to the Twisted Pint Tavern. Today we're visiting r/D&D to find out what your D&D red flags are. Whether you're a DM or a player, what are the red flags that you have that tell you this might not be the group or person for you? Let me know in the comments. When you watch the player roll an 8 and then use their finger to turn it to a 16, then look up at you and pretend like you didn't just clearly see them fudge that die roll. Look, I'm not encouraging fudging your dice rolls, but if you're gonna do it, at least don't make it blatant like this. Players who have a highly developed idea for a character that wouldn't be in genre for most games, and don't seem to be able to hear anything about the setting. They want to be a magical girl piloting a mecha and then pop out with a different set of stats and abilities when the mecha runs out of hit points. That's just Diva from Overwatch. You tell them the touchstones for the adventure are more like Wheel of Time or Lord of the Rings. Their eyes glaze over and they continue to talk about the mecha. Yeah, I get wanting to play a specific character concept, but you still need to find a way to make it work in the game, and I'm gonna tell ya, Mecha Girl does not fit into most D&D games. Here's my homebrew spider humanoid race. Yeah, I've play tested it for a few years, it's not OP. Proceeds to have 60 movement speed, natural poison bite attacks, and natural paralysis web action at level 1, and gets annoyed when I have NPCs react terrified to their form. This was for one of my first attempts at DMing, where I tried to run Lost Mine of Phandelver at a local comic book shop. Players were people who happened to be in the shop at the time, and I didn't want to waste time going over everyone's sheets, I just wanted to play. Any prospective DMs out there, just trust me, always review the character sheets. You know what lesson I learned though? Don't hire a mimic to work in your tavern. Waldore the Tavern Mimic has been running rampant since the start of April and has been hiding in every video. He'll appear for a moment, then disappear not to be seen again until the next video. I figure he'll probably do this until the end of the month, so if you do spot him in this or any other video, let me know in the comments. Also, the first person to screenshot him and post him in the Where's Waldore channel on the Discord server will earn a point, and the 3 highest scoring adventurers will be awarded the Mimic Hunter Discord role. Join the Twisted Pint Tavern Discord server to compete, and good luck. I once had a player insist on playing his Homebrew class, which was a mix of Rogue, Ninja, and Ranger. He claimed it was balanced and I would never know it wasn't a core class. I was a new DM. Quickly learned it was very OP. The game didn't last too long. There's a lot of balancing work that goes into making a new class. Like making a new item or a new spell is one thing, but a completely new class? That takes a lot of playtesting and balancing. As another player, players need to read their sheet. Read their sheet or read their shit. Either way, I'm with you. Read your shit. Players with main character syndrome. I get you want to be fancy and special in the game, but you know there's multiple people playing, right? Players that don't pay attention when their character isn't actively talking or doing something. If they don't care about the other players or characters, they won't be a good teammate. Look, I get if someone has ADHD or something like that and has a hard time focusing, so they're on their phone or they color, like that's totally fine to me, I don't mind that. But if you're just like tuning out anytime your character is not directly involved, then you're missing out on story, you're missing out on roleplay, you're missing out on a lot of things, and you're really not gonna have that much fun at the table, and no one else will either. Players who try to win D&D, oh boy. And then those that think it's the players versus the DM. Yeah, the only way to win D&D is by having fun, by meeting up with a bunch of people and having a good time. That's how you win D&D. You could total party kill and still win D&D. Arguing, begging, it's what my character would do. Playing from player knowledge and not character knowledge consistently. Look, a lot of people are upset about the it's what my character would do thing. I do see some instances where, yeah, that's what your character would do. But those should never be bad, like derailing or horrible roleplay moments. Like maybe this is my arch nemesis and when they're running away with no weapons, it's what my character would do to chase them down and continue the attack. That's different. But oh, I'm gonna go up to the king who just mildly insulted my intelligence, and I'm gonna stab him, cause it's what my character would do. No, I think you might just be an idiot. 40 years as a DM, and what I avoid are interrupting others / talking over others, over-explainers, humorless and glum combatifyles. I love rules lawyers, and having one at your table can save you hours of referencing and keeps the others honest. 2 veteran creatives, a lawyer, and an enthusiastic noob comprise my perfect table. Addendum, my biggest red flag is when a player wants to PvP another party member or attempts to force another character's actions. Insta-boot. Rules lawyers can be a good thing if done well. If it's like, hey, here's how the rule actually works, you're the DM, but this is just what the book says, you run it how you want to run it, that's fine. But if it's, actually, you can't do this because the book says so and I will not allow it as a rules lawyer. Yeah, no, that's not fun for anyone except maybe you, and I even question that. People who can't respond on their own when you try to schedule the next session. I'm so sick of messaging everyone directly when there's a group notification. I hear you, but I'm one of the people that will mute the group chat if it's getting too crazy. So, I get it, but messaging everyone individually isn't that big a deal unless you're running a game of like 20 players, and at that point I have other questions. I find players who just spend all their time deliberately trying to ruin another player's fun really grating. Once I had a player who kept trying to interject and tell me why someone wasn't allowed to do that, see the rules lawyer before, or else would outright attack another member of the party. He also had a lot of the other red flags listed here, not showing his character sheet, being very cagey with his dice rolls, and only ever failing a roll when it would dick over another player, rules lawyering, etc. He didn't last very long in our game. Again, rules lawyers, you just gotta be decent about it. People don't mind a helpful reminder from time to time, but what they do mind is you telling them, no, you can't do that. I'm intentionally stopping you from doing this despite everyone being on board with it and it would be really cool because the book says no, I won't allow it. That's not fun. Was pretty surprised that it wasn't closer to the top, but my #1 red flag is players who either consistently cancel at the last moment, the day of, are extremely late with no communication, like an hour plus kind of thing, or the ones that just completely no-show. Honorable mentions include being on their phone at the table all the time, being surprised that the turn order has somehow found its way back to them and have no idea what they want to do, and being rude or dismissive to other players at the table. If someone's consistently canceling or showing up a little bit late, I don't mind horribly because I've worked in the restaurant industry, for example, and there's a lot of other industries like it, and your schedule can be very chaotic and last minute. However, communication is key. Sorry, I can't make it in tonight, I got an on-call shift, or something like that really works wonders. Any player who writes a backstory that is, they were a level 20 character, had to take a break for some reason and are just now getting back in at level 1 but knows all this about magic and monsters. And then this reply, I'm not metagaming, it's what my character would do. Didn't you read my backstory? Yeah, my backstory says that my character's actually a master degree holder when it comes to dragons and demons and all this, so I know everything. I know you didn't like approve this or give me the knowledge, and I conveniently keep adding things to the list that I know everything about, but it's what my character would do. Everyone is being very specific, but mine is ignoring session 0 expectations or expectations added after session 0. For example, if we can't have a session due to lack of players, I expect to know ahead of time. On top of that, I put the onus on players who couldn't make the session to reschedule. Failure to do either of those puts them on my potential to replace. I also expect players to share screen time. If one player acts too much or too little, I will try to shift the screen away or towards them. Attempts to circumvent my effort are a red flag. Really, the session 0 violations are the big ones. Alright, when it comes to the session 0 expectations and other expectations, I completely agree. There are rules that every table puts in place that need to be followed to make sure everyone's having fun and is still comfortable and having a good time. If someone's not willing to follow those expectations and rules, then that's not the group for them, and maybe that doesn't mean they're a bad player or DM or however that works, it just means that they don't fit into that group. As for the wanting players to make every session and making them reschedule and all that I keep hearing and all these things, I agree, I hear you want people to be there, but look, when you sign on to DM, you're herding cats. That's what you do, you herd the cats. If you don't want to herd the cats, you're gonna have a rough time. I try to work with a lot at my table, but there are some red flags I just can't help but notice. One is when someone has a very star of the show mentality. I'm fine if you want your character to be involved, but you have to let other people shine sometimes. If you're constantly looking for ways to steal people's thunder and ruin the party's plan because you want to be the hero, you won't last long. Another red flag for me is when players try to sneak things into their character sheet. Anything they add thinking the DM won't notice or might think they gave it to me and just forgot, immediately sets this off. If you add random magic items just because you think they're cool, or a homebrew spell that you think might as well be allowed but didn't consult the DM ahead of time, you're not playing the game, you're cheating. There are very few ways to actually cheat in a role-playing game, and this is one of them. And that's going to conclude our video going over red flags. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have not done so already. Also, keep an eye out for Waldore, the tavern mimic. I hear he has a few red flags about him, like, you know, running off and trying to eat people's shoes and stuff like that. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.